UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. Hi, I'm your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. I think you'll find this one interesting, and we'll get into it in just a little bit. So Mr. X joins us again. He's been on the show once before. He had a UFO encounter, close encounter of the first kind, a CE-1, and we'll get into that. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. Folks, the US dollar has lost 85% of its value since the 1970s, when the dollar decoupled from gold, and the government seems bent on continuing the tradition. From now until after the next elections, the government can print as much money as they want. The last time they did that, inflation went up 9%. This can only mean one thing. The security of your future and your family's future is all in your hands. Make sure you freeze the value of the wealth you are holding. Invest in gold with Noble Gold Investments. Gold is the one asset that has been proven to withstand recession, inflation, and just about all economic threats. Noble Gold Investments is here to help. If you want to invest in gold, you will also get a 24-karat quarter-ounce gold standard coin for free. Folks, go to Noble Gold Investments or call 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. It's the only gold company I trust, and folks, we have invested in gold ourselves. So here's the interview with Mr. X. He's a pilot. I think you'll find it interesting. Mr. X, thanks so much for joining us again. Really appreciate it. So you're a pilot. Something happened to you about a year ago with your first officer. Tell us your encounter.
Yeah, it's great to be with you again. So my first officer and I were piloting a flight fleeing a South Florida airport. This is on October the 24th of 2022, and it was about a 9 p.m. departure. And we were heading out of South Florida, headed to Denver. So it was a dark night, and we went across the Florida Peninsula and then started out across the Gulf of Mexico. And we were probably about 45 minutes into the flight, and we have the lights in the cockpit dimmed down nice and dark so we can see outside very well. And we saw this bright light appear sort of in like the 12 o'clock position straight ahead, and it was a very bright light, and it started making some movements across the horizon, started kind of tracking left to right. And it would stay bright for a while, and then sometimes the light would dim, so you could just barely see it, and then it would go dark. So we try to watch what the trajectory of the light was on the horizon left to right, expecting to see it reappear on that same speed and trajectory, and it would reappear somewhere else. Sometimes it would reappear 30 or 40 degrees maybe left when we were expecting it to be to the right. And at that distance, we're talking about possibly 50 to 100 or plus miles that it traveled in a matter of seconds when it would reappear. Many times when it would reappear with a bright light. It would almost look like someone was shining a landing light directly at us in our direction. And then sometimes it would move a little bit so you could watch it. The light would dim, and then it would disappear. Sometimes you'd see it tracking across the horizon, going in a different direction. But many times it would change altitude. It would start out low, and then you'd see it reappear in a different quadrant of the sky at a much higher altitude. So it would do that, and both of us were amazed at what we were watching. And I think our words pretty much the entire time were, "I've never seen anything like this. What do you think that is?" And we both were just amazed at watching this. But what was probably one of the most amazing parts of this whole experience was the fact that this continued on for about an hour and a half. So we started seeing this probably around 9:30, 10 o'clock in the evening, and it went on for an hour and a half, so late into the night hours. And our forward progress, as we were heading toward Denver, we made it well past Dallas area, Dallas-Fort Worth, and into West Texas before we saw this light chasing, as I call it, disappear, and it went away completely. But it seemed to stay equidistant in front of the aircraft's nose, left to right, about 30 degrees left to 30 degrees right of the nose, the entire time for an hour and a half.
So let me ask you something. When you talk about coming into a different quadrant, I'm going to use this. So this is the object and it's going like this. All of a sudden it disappears and then reappears in a blink of an eye at a different altitude. So it's basically jumping through space and time. Is that kind of what you saw?
Yes, that's what we saw. And there were times where you could see it track a little bit, and you could actually follow the track, but many times it would disappear completely and go dark, and then it would reappear somewhere totally different.
This was when we interviewed Gary Schultz, and I remember going out to Area 51 with Gary way back in the 90s. But Gary Schultz and Norio Hayakawa were out at Area 51 years and years ago before anyone really knew about it. And they actually brought a Japanese film crew out there and they filmed what you're talking about. This object goes like this and then it jumps through space and time and comes up here like in a blink of an eye. So we know that whatever is doing that, we don't have anything like that. So now we know from Congress a couple of weeks ago, yeah, we've got, crashed UFOs. We've got operating craft that are not from this world, and on it goes. So they're kind of rolling it out, as it were. But we've known about this since, the late 80s, early 90s. So none of this catches me by surprise. But what I do find interesting is here you're a trained witness, you're a pilot, you're active duty, you're still flying, and you have this encounter, a CE1, close encounter of the first kind. So, and you watch this thing for what, an hour and a half?
Yes, yeah, almost an hour and a half.
I'll give you the last word, Mr. Rex, and thanks so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Well, I'm just amazed to see with everything that's happening in the news and the disclosure. It's just amazing to me that it seems like almost a daily occurrence. We're hearing about these sort of things, and I'm just thankful I got a chance to even be a part and see something like this.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the record. Really appreciate it. Folks, these UFO sightings, CE1, close encounters of the first kind, that's what they had. Close encounters of the second kind is when the craft is very, very visible and up close. Third kind, of course, is when you see the entities. Fourth kind, you're having interaction with the entities. And I don't want to go into fourth kind. In our abduction field, which is number 4, that's close encounters of the fourth and fifth kind because they're engaging with them. Al Matthews, you think of Karen Wilkinson, Emil, Jurek, the same thing. They've been taken, they've been abducted numerous times, and it's not a good thing. As I've stated before, when I'm at conferences, I'll say, how many of you think it's okay to kidnap a 5-year-old boy and implant them? Anybody? Not a hand goes up. And in the film, Emil says that they put locks on the doors and the windows to make sure he didn't get out of his room at night, and they would find him on the lawn the next day with the doors and windows still locked. And he looks at the camera and goes, explain that to me. Well, you can't, because you're looking at something that's supernatural, in my opinion. Anyway, folks, that's thank you, Mr. X, for coming on. Again, he is a pilot, and we're going to keep him anonymous here. But if you have an encounter, you can shoot us an email, ufo@lamarzulli.net. Or if you've got a supernatural confrontation and you want to come in on a Zoom chat, supernatural@lamarzulli.net. People have often asked me, LA, what is the top rung on the ladder of disclosure? And I have no idea what the top rung is other than full disclosure. And not the so-called fake alien invasion. I'm talking mile-wide craft above the cities. Maybe it's more than one. And when that happens, everything changes. All media will focus on that particular event. That's the game changer. Is it possible that we go up, they show up, we go up, they come down? That's what I'm holding on to. That's what I think happens, but that's conjecture on my part. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, folks, I'm coming to your neck of the woods if you live in Osage Beach, Missouri, and that's walkonthewater.org. Walkonthewater.org. You've got to register, so please do that. There are no repeats. Friday night is the primer. We go deep. Then sessions 2, 3, and 4, we add on to that. So there are no repeat messages. They're all different. I think you'll find it interesting. Hope to see you there. We finally finished the cattle mutilation film, The Calling Card of Darkness. It is done. It is finished. It's will be handed off probably on Wednesday. They have a duplicator. We'll probably have product in about 2 weeks. So we're going to close the window very quickly for the pre-sale. Thanks so much for contributing. For those of you who contributed to help create this film, we thank you. And of course, at the end of the film, we list everybody's names, but thank you so much. Further evidence of Close Encounters, I think you'll find that book interesting. We should have that by the end of September. And more about that in the coming weeks. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, you can go to lamarzulli.net, lamarzulli.net, and you can order the 5-box DVD set. They have been flying out of here. So number 6 is the cattle mutilations. That we have 3 more to do. We will get them done by the end of the year. We are the only Christian ministry that has 6 films in the queue, as it were, so far. There'll be 9 altogether when we're done. 7 and 8 are on Roswell, and we are in post-production there. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, folks, UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away.